think this is the first time they've actually done that for a Royal Enfield, because they're normally known for classic retro bikes. Welcome to the garage on Ride Bike. So what we have here today for our first ride review is the Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450. It is the Indian manufacturer's street bike that is also expressway legal, and it uses a 452cc single-cylinder engine shared with the Himalayan 450. So if you look closely here, I think this is their first street bike based on the 452cc engine. So it has a tubular steel frame. And if you look closely, alloy wheels, tubeless. I think this is the first time they've actually done that for a Royal Enfield, because they're normally known for classic retro bikes. So because it's meant as to be a street bike, so it has cast alloy wheels, 17 inches, wearing Seat street tires. Suspension is provided by Showa. This is a 43mm telescopic fork. Hindi siya upside down fork. Yun nga lang. In the rear is a single monoshock, only adjustable for preload. So there are no adjustments available for the shocks, so you have to go with the stock setting, which I've ridden it. It's a bit on the firm side because it is a street bike. If you'll notice that this tank is very sporty and compact, however, it only holds 11 liters. So you have to consider the range that you're gonna get. So if you're getting maybe 30 kilometers per liter, that equates about 330 kilometers on a tank. Realistically, maybe at around 260 kilometers, kailangan ng paggas. Sitting on the bike, so yung upuan niya, yung saddle is actually okay for most riders. However, it is a small bike. So I'm 5'8", and the rider triangle is slightly cramped. On longer rides, you may need to stretch a bit, you need to rest a bit and stretch your legs. For taller riders, I think this bike is a little too small for you. However, for smaller riders, the seat height of 780mm will be just right. Like right now, I can flat foot easily, so it makes it an ideal commuter bike where you have to stop and go all the time. Yung handlebars din niya are medyo raised para relax ka. So on the highway, you have a relaxed riding position. And if you want to get sporty, it's just a simple matter of crouching lower. Of course, because it is a naked, you have to deal with the wind blast on the highway. Around 100, 120 kilometers per hour, manageable pa siya. But higher than that, it will really beat you down. Now, this is the top of the line variant. It's priced at around 314,000, 315,000. The TFT dash of the Guerrilla on the top spec model. So it shows you the engine speed tachometer here. It goes up to 9,000, but actually the rev limiter kicks in at around 8,000. Speed is here. This is your fuel gauge, gear indicator. Then you've got your idiot lights over here. Ride modes, dalawa lang siya. You get performance mode, which gives you more energetic throttle response, and then you get eco mode, which is more mellow, which is more ideal for stop and go traffic. On the Guerrilla 450, you cannot easily deactivate the ABS. The only way to do it, if you really want to deactivate it, is you have to pull the fuse. But you better make sure that you know which fuse you're pulling. So the switch pods borrow heavily from the Royal Enfield parts bin. The switch here for the kill switch, very basic clutch and lever controls. So makapal siya, durable, para in case mabagsak mo, hindi siya mababali kaagad. And all of that. And then you've got these Mickey Mouse ears, Mickey Mouse mirrors, so pretty basic. Now in terms of ride and handling, I would say that if you ever rode the KTM 390 Duke, this actually feels very much like it in terms of the way that it quickly dives into turns. It's easy to flick from left to right. So very ideal siya to carve corners if you're still learning how to ride a reasonably sporty bike. The main difference between this and the 390 Duke, this engine will not stall on you unless you're really clumsy. So how is this bike to ride? Well, I've had it for 2 days and around 200 kilometers so far of back roads and expressway. And it's a very likable, easy to ride, expressway legal bike. So hindi siya galit palagi unless you're in performance mode and medyo nabigla ka in slow speed traffic and it snatches you. The motor only puts out 39 horsepower. So around 120, 130 kilometers per hour, it's starting to work really hard already. And if you really push it and you have enough road, maybe you'll hit a top speed about 160, 170. Depends on how light you are and how brave you are. It's not about top speed with this bike. It's more about carving, having fun on your back roads, and enjoying your daily commute because it's light. The brakes are strong. You've got ABS all the time, so madali siyang kumagat. It's very responsive and docile. However, when you turn it on in performance mode, then you can have some fun. You can even bring it to a track and enjoy it. Although, of course, hindi siya sport bike. You're limited by the available grip of the stock Seat tires. And of course, these pegs, they tend to scrape at maximum lean. So, yun yung unang pipigil sa'yo. Now, in terms of fuel economy, I'm getting around 25, 27 kilometers per liter, which is pretty good for a small engine. I'm sure mas magaganda pa yung fuel efficiency mo pag hindi ka palaging walwal mode. Okay, other small details that I like, again, the dash, it's very nice and easy to read. So it's quite a change from the usual analog clocks that I've nasanay na ako with Royal Enfield. The stock LED headlight is also strong. No need to upgrade that. These standard handles here are useful if you've got a pillion passenger. Although, as usual, the pad is not that big. So kung malaki-laki yung pasahero mo, maybe he or she will not be that comfortable. Fuel injected siya, of course, and electronic yung throttle. So that's kind of new in the Royal Enfield lineup. So mabilis yung response niya and very linear. So, time to rate this bike. So, it is obviously not an out-and-out sport bike. It is also not a basic commuter bike. It's somewhere in between. So, performance, given the fun-to-ride nature of the engine, the nimbleness of the chassis, the trustworthiness of the brakes, I'll have to give it an 8 out of 10. For handling, again, pretty much handles like a naked sportish bike, albeit easier to handle than most. So I have to give it an 8 out of 10. Styling, I love everything about it except for these wheels. The color of the wheels, medyo tacky for my taste. So I have to dock it down to 7 out of 10. Utility, well, you don't expect much utility from a street bike. So it is what it is. It is what is it. Give it a 7 out of 10. Value for money. The bike starts at around 285,000 for the basic spec and about 315,000 for this one with ride modes, with a TFT dash. Value for money, it's Royal Enfield. Easy 10 out of 10. Is this gonna be your first and last bike? Probably not. If you like motorcycles, you're gonna keep upgrading and upgrading, or eventually you're gonna downgrade to whatever makes you happy. But as a street bike, a commuter bike, something you can ride on the daily, hindi siya nakakapagod gamitin unless you're especially tall. Hindi siya magastos gamitin kasi matipid siya, which is a good point. Hindi siya mabagal, hindi rin siya sobrang tulin. So overall, and knowing Royal Enfield's reputation for making practically bulletproof bikes that just keep going and going with just basic maintenance, I have to give it a 9 out of 10. All right, so thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments.